This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
This is the Superbike Show. It's Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. We are back once again. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we're all here this weekend, depending on who you were expecting. Lewis Ray back again. Good evening, Lewis.
Evening, Lester. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, just got back from Snetterton. Not just now, but basically because I was asleep all Monday because stuff.
A recovery day.
Yeah, it's kind of takes it out of you. And also Jay King, who was racing at the weekend. Well, so he thought. Anyway, what happened, Jay?
What didn't happen, more like. So there was did all day practice Friday, pretty much all day practice Saturday. Got to Sunday, the heavens opened. We did pretty much race one, but on the last few laps, a bike decided to dump oil all the way around the track. And then, because it rained all day, the oil obviously wouldn't clear up. And that was the end of the day, really. So, yeah, didn't really do much racing.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was pretty much it. So, yeah, I wish I'd come to Snetterton and watched the proper guys do it.
Well, yeah, basically. Anyway, so yeah, Jay was pretty much hoping that he'd rock up and tell you about all the medals and amazing victories that he had over the weekend, and we'd only have to take his word for it because none of it was live streamed. But
I ddid top every session and I was pole position for the race, but that all meant for nothing when there wasn't really any racing.
Well, that means nothing really, does it? So, like you say. But anyway, at least you enjoyed yourself. So
yeah. And I'm back here for the third week in a row, so that's better than any race win, that is, Lester.
Okay. You're here until you're not here, until you're like...
until you kick me off.
But anyway, tonight I'm drinking just water out of an old pint glass. You can't even steal these anymore, old Boddington's pint glasses.
I do.
Oh, Jay's already gone.
Yeah.
Lewis, you water tonight, is it?
Yeah, water. Just water. Bottles water. But I still have the watermelon Fanta that's been there for probably about a month now, just sitting there. It's not opened yet, but I don't think I'm going to open it at this point. It's just going to sit there.
Mm-hmm. Jay, what have you just had your dinner or something?
We've got the strawberry and lime copper bag.
Oh, right, okay.
Non-alcoholic, of course.
No, if we've got to say that on this sort of programme.
Don't swear at Jay. Jeez.
So behave yourself now, haven't you? Roger and Rob have a breathalyzer at race meetings now, so you have to... I mean, I never drank that much at race meetings anyway. It was perfectly fine.
Okay, so we're already lying, whatever. So anyway, tonight we're talking about, whatever was happening at the weekend. Not much if you were at Ella Park, but over at Snetterton, there was BSB and a lot going on there. And already since the weekend, or rather, if you were watching on whatever channel it was on, what channel was it on? Don't know. It was on Quest, apparently. There was already an announcement. Feiho, on an interview, said that they're retaining their existing riders for next year, Lewis.
Yeah, Feiho announced live on air that Josh Brooks and Peter Hickman will continue with the team for the 2024 season, which is great for both the riders. I mean, Josh Brooks, he's looking incredible this year. It's definitely looking the most comfortable he's been in a long time. And yeah, Peter Hickman, he's having a rocky part of his season, I would say, at the moment. Obviously, he's done well at the Isle of Man and at the Northwest 200, but right now in BSB, at Knockhill and at Snetterton, he seems just to be struggling at the moment. So hopefully the confidence of having that contract in his back pocket already before we get to the halfway point will hopefully give him some better results as the year progresses. But yeah, great for both the riders and great for the FHO team to continue for next year as well. Obviously, there's no doubts to that anyway. And yeah, great news.
Yeah, and for coming into the weekend, there did seem to be a lot of talk about how terrible, obviously horrifically bad decision it was for McCams to hire Tito Rabat, because we all knew, of course, that he was not going to do anything. He'd be absolutely drilled at the back of the grid. And, that wasn't the case, actually. He stuck it on the front row in qualifying.
Yeah,
and we were all speechless.
He proved everyone wrong. He proved everyone wrong and qualified. I was speechless. I mean, I think we all kind of said that we thought there would be better options. Yeah, we thought there would be better options for that McCam seat for Snetterton. But good on him. I mean, top 10s across the weekend and front row start on the McCam Yamaha on a bike that he's not sat on before the weekend, and that track that he's never visited. So yeah, hats off to him.
Yeah, Jay, I think on this show last week we were all a little bit puzzled. Not me, though. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was all... I kept an open mind, but I was reporting on what everyone else was saying. Not me. I wasn't giving my own opinion. But, fair play to him. He turned up, did a good job.
Yeah, very. It was very surprising to see him on the front row, especially in qualifying. That first race, when we probably got the most TV footage of him at the start of the race, he did look a bit shaky, I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of times where the front wheel was in the air and there was a lot of times when the back wheel was in the air. But fair play to him to be near the sharp end at any point in the race at your first BSB. Well, one his first BSB race, but first BSB race on the Yamaha was really impressive. Be interesting to see how he does at Brands Hatch, because that is your traditional British track. So be interested to see if he get another few more top 10s there. And maybe if he does, maybe that could be the offering of a full-time contract for the rest of this season and maybe next season. You never know. I know Stuart Higgs does like to see more international riders in BSB, so I reckon BSB would probably push that to happen as well. But I think Brands is going to be a bigger kettle of fish compared to Snetterton. So I think it might be a bit more difficult for him, but he's proved us wrong before, so you never know. He might prove us wrong again.
Yeah, I did put a cheeky little post up on the BSB and fans support class Facebook on the Saturday afternoon. Something to the effect of, everyone's a bit...
Where are you now?
Yeah, something like that. But fair play to Tito Rabbit, putting on the front row of the grid and doing really kind of okay, really. Well, better than okay. All right, I would say.
Yeah.
He did all right for his first weekend on that bike. And like you say, probably all about Brands Hatch. And perhaps today, I think it was announced today, Lewis, maybe the reason why Leon Haslam didn't opt to go with that team when it was apparently offered to him is because I think he had eyes on staying with BMW, because it was, there's been an announcement today involving Leon Haslam, hasn't there?
Yeah, Leon Haslam has announced, BMW has announced that Leon Haslam will step in for Tom Sykes at Imola this weekend in the World Superbike class. So Haslam returning to the World Superbike paddock, although he's not been away too long because he was racing in 2022 and a couple of wildcard appearances on board the Kawasaki. So yeah, great to see Leon back in the World Superbike paddock. And yes, it's definitely paid off anyway, not taking that McCams ride, because now he's got another opportunity to be on the World Superbike stage, and he's kept a good relationship with BMW anyway at the moment. Of course, being the top BMW in the championship at the moment in BSB, I think, in 5th place. So yeah, good for Haslam, and hopefully just goes out and enjoys that. Of course, World Superbike, they've not been at Imola since 2019. So it should be a good weekend for him, and definitely going to be a weekend that he won't forget, I would say. But yeah, he's replacing Tom Sykes, who's replacing Michael van der Mark. So he's replacing a replacement rider at the moment, which is something that is becoming more and more common.
Yeah, just brief news on Sykes. He was released from hospital today or yesterday.
Saw pictures on the socials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's he doing now?
He's very sore, I would say. I think it's 10 broken ribs, if I remember correctly, which is, that's quite a lot. But I believe some was front and back. So in total, it's actually 13 broken ribs. And yeah, that's going to be difficult anyway. And I believe he's having some sort of breathing issues, which would probably come when you have 13 broken ribs. And he also has a moon boot on at the moment. So I think it's a fracture to his left ankle, if I remember correctly. So yeah, at the moment, it's going to be a long road to recovery anyway, with a fractured ankle and basically 13 broken ribs, because it's 10 broken ribs, but 3 of his ribs are a double fracture. So,
well, apart from that, he's okay.
Sometimes. Yeah, apart from that, he's he's perfect. So, yeah, it was a massive crash, to be honest, though. I mean, it went quite the height. So, yeah, whatever comes up has to come down, and that's the price he has to pay. So hopefully he's on the mend, and hopefully we can see him back in the bike in some championship in some form soon.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed. It's not the absolute end of Tom Sykes that we'll see in a competitive, world-class environment. Hopefully, we'll see him somewhere at some point. Who knows? But back to BSB, and a clean sweep for Tommy Bridewell, and Ducati 1-2 in the championship now with Glenn Owen in second, and pretty good weekend for them.
Yeah, pretty good weekend to say the least, and certainly on the final race of the weekend anyway, I think Paul Bird would be having kittens, and they would be very, very stressed watching it unfold, but more onto that later on. But 25 points separating the two. PBM Ducati is at the top of the championship at the moment, with Kyle Ryder in third. Kyle Ryder had quite a quiet weekend at Snetterton, I think it's safe to say. But yeah, Tommy Bridewell, a clean sweep, the first ever triple race win that he's took across the weekend, I believe, in British Superbikes. So yeah, he's definitely happy with that one, and let's see if we can carry that on to Brands Hatch, because right now it looks like them Ducatis are definitely the bike to beat at the moment. I mean, it's between definitely Ducati and Yamaha, but one thing we also did see at Snetterton is that nobody could break away. So Tommy Bridewell, he didn't get those race wins easy.
Yeah, for you, Jay, was there? I think we sort of anticipated before the weekend that they might go well at Snetterton, but were we anticipating that they pretty much dominated, didn't they?
Yeah. So, like we said before, Bradley Ray's 3 race wins last season, Ducatis really had dominated at Snetterton before, and this year they kind of shoe it again, even though they weren't like comfortably far away, miles away. Brooks was unlucky. He looked like he was really going to take it to him in the last race before he broke down. And also Jason O'Halloran was there, and obviously we had Haslam there as well. So they didn't clear off, but Tommy Bridewell did have something a little bit extra. First race, I think, was the best race of the season so far. I felt... And he was 3 corners to go, was winning, and then by the time he crossed the line, he had dropped all the way back. So I think it was Bridewell had a bit of a lunge going under the bridge that sent him wide. That sent who was in third. Who was third in the first race?
In race 1, O'Halloran was first.
O'Halloran got to the line, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was unbelievably close that first race. So I know it was a good race, because my missus, the only races she normally ever watches British Talent Cup, because she knows everyone in it. But she actually sat and watched that first BSB race, so it must have been a good one. So yeah, excellent racing, probably the best racing all season.
Yeah, we will get on to talking a bit about the RNG British Talent Cup at the weekend, which was... a very dominant display by Evan Belford, leading the championship by, I think, around 63 points or 62 points or something like that. Anyway, he's, and to even show that he was as dominant as he was disappointed to be only leading by 60-odd points. He probably thought he could have gone better, despite setting a new lap record in that class. But We'll talk about that in more depth a bit later. Lewis, any other news from BSB that's emerged since the past few days?
It's been pretty quiet since the racing stopped anyway. And I think we're all just waiting for Brands Hatch. But of course, we're speaking about just after we came off air on last week's show, talking about the Brands Hatch round, that Casey O'Gorman will be making a wildcard appearance in the Supersport class as we're looking over his Facebook page. So, yeah, there's some new riders anyway coming to battle at the hopefully at the front in the Supersport class at Brands Hatch.
Probably the one question that I heard being asked and that I got asked by many people while I was at Snetterton at the weekend is, what's going on with Casey O'Gorman? And why did he leave the Vision Track team in the European Talent Cup?
I think it's quite hard for all of us to say, really, isn't it?
But that was the question that was being asked.
You do see the keyboard warriors on Facebook and all that saying, money talks and things like that. But I don't think it is down to money, because I think Casey has got such an outstanding talent that money can be found to accommodate him in the team, whether he's got the money or not. It's a bit of a mystery to all of us, I guess, unless you know some inside information.
Well, I'm not on the inside of anything, as anyone would know just by tuning into the show.
Obviously, the British Talent Cup put a statement out, or they've got a new rider now for I don't know how many rounds, but I forgot his name or what he rides in.
The Vision Track team did announce the ETC Vision Track team did announce a new rider,
Marco Morelli. He's Argentinian.
Okay.
Okay.
So he'll be racing for the interim with the team. They did have, I don't know if Harrison Desoy is going to be back with them this weekend. I hope he is, but I neglected to actually ask him. And anyway, I did ask Harrison Desoy at the weekend how late his call-up for that team was, because it looked as though, from the outside, as though he'd replaced Casey O'Gorman. But that actually wasn't the case, as he was telling me. He was always due to do that round weeks in advance, and apparently he was really excited. Well, he said he was really excited to be Casey's teammate that weekend, but it wasn't meant to be because Casey ended up racing with another team. So it was not the case that Harrison Desoy actually replaced Casey. He was going to be there with him, racing alongside him at the team at that weekend anyway. Also, he thought. Anyway.
There's the huge they are, there's no contracts involved, because normally people can't just walk out of a team and go into another team. Like, normally there is a contract and you would normally have to pay quite a lot of money to get out of that contract. So I'm guessing at that age there isn't such a thing as a contract.
I've no idea, to be honest. Casey is apparently going to be still racing again this weekend with his Hugo Milan team. Yeah, we're still streaming. That's good. With his new team, and he actually got a podium, a debut podium with them the other week. So that was encouraging.
From the back of the grid. From the back
of the grid. So if you can. Well, he's always, as we all know, he's always there or thereabouts on the podium or near the podium, or floating around first place. Anyway, so let's see how the rest of the season works. But in terms of doing a round in, what was it, a junior super sport or super sport?
Just super sport.
Super sport.
He's been given special dispensation from the ACU to compete 1 year younger than what the class allows.
Yeah, I'd love to ask Casey why he's doing that.
He has had a lot, on his socials, he does do a lot of track time on a 600. So it's not something he's not going to be used to. I've even seen him out in Spain on 1,000cc bike. Yeah. So it's not going to be unfamiliar territory to him. But obviously, the guys at BSB Supersport, they're pretty quick. So just doing track days on a 600 and then going to race at a British Supersport level, it's going to be a big jump. But I'm sure Casey will be able to handle it. But like look as the way Leicester looks really confused at the moment. It is a bit of a strange step to take. So, but you got to keep your options open, haven't you? I mean, who says that Case will get we all hope that he does get the opportunity in Moto3 and that, but you've got to keep your options open. So if he gets a chance to ride a 600, that might have to be a route he has to go. So keep your options open, I guess. So maybe that's what they're thinking.
You might have to do that now, yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Just to let you know as well, just before the show, I did ask Casey's dad whether Casey could come on tonight's show, just so we could ask him directly. And I've not heard back from him just yet, probably because I asked him a bit too late. And but maybe. Either way, he's not here. He's still time though to get him on the show, not just to ask him about his current yada yada, but also because he's a Fab graduate, a Fab racing champion, and also a British Talent Cup champion as well, and he's just a bloody quick racer as well, and one of the still best upcoming prospects for Irish racing that there is, who's been racing in the UK. So good luck this weekend, Casey, and all the other Brits as well, and everyone racing in the Junior GP European Talent Cup this weekend. So that's kind of all we can say on that without speculating and talking nonsense too much. And we don't like talking nonsense here on this show. God, no. I won't have any of it. Yeah. So anything else regarding BSB and support classes? I will rummage around on the social media to see if there's been anything breaking this evening, because I've been a bit distracted today. I got my hair cut, which was a big event for me. You know, the whole village came out and everything. Yeah. Well, as you know, I like to stay on point with the fashion stuff. Anyway,
I can tell.
Tumbleweed.
Silence.
Right. Okay. So other news from BSB then. Come on, Lewis, go.
Yeah, so at BSB at the weekend anyway, it was once again in the National Superstock 1000 class, or the Pirelli National Superstock Championship is what it is known now. Dan Lundfoot continued to dominate and made it 3 wins in a row. That class will only get in one race this weekend, however, which for some riders, it's certainly the likes of your Lewis Rose, it's quite a distance to go for just one race meeting. But in the British Junior Supersport class, the guest on the Superbike Show just a couple of weeks ago, Finn Smart-Whedon, took the race win at Snetterton and now leads the championship by a singular point in the Junior Supersport class. So yeah, that was in race 2, which was the final race of the weekend actually. Sidecars were also there last weekend as well. And one thing which we spoke about briefly on last week's show was the weather, because obviously, Jay, you got terrible weather at B&B, but at BSB it was a bit intermittent with rain, certainly on the Sunday, with the rain being on and off throughout the day. And like we seen on the start of the day with the Junior Superstock, it was starting to rain then, British Talent Cup as well, and luckily BSB got somewhat lucky with the conditions, but it was still pretty sketchy out there at some points.
Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch any of the support races on Sunday, so I only saw the BSB races, and it did look like they had it pretty good. So I did see that. I've seen the pictures from the British Talent Cup second race, and I did see a lot of them were on wets, and I saw that Lucas Brown came second, so that was an excellent result for him. I look forward to battling with him at the weekend in the pit bike class, but it was really good to see him.
By him.
Whoa.
I've still got it.
How dare you. Anyway, back to the British Talent Cup. Yeah, it was good to see Lucas come second. Obviously, he has a bit of a disadvantage in the British Talent Cup with his height, so obviously when it rains,
height shamed.
That does come. I think he'll admit himself he does have a bit of a disadvantage with his weight. I'm
it's
sure
all psychological, Jay. It's not about your height and your weight.
Well, they are very little bikes, but obviously in the rain that doesn't become too much of a disadvantage. It might actually become a bit of an advantage, because with those longer legs, it is easier to get your knee down and control it in the wet weather. So, a really good race by Lucas to come second place.
Yeah, and in the British Talent Cup, something which we're not used to seeing, Evan Belford winning both races across the weekend, almost 8 seconds in race 1, and then race 2 in the sketchy, greasy conditions, only 2.5 seconds from Lucas Brown. But Evan Belford dominating the weekend, and his championship rival Emmanuel Brinton crashing out on the first lap, I believe it was, or second lap in race 2. First lap, yeah. So, yeah, right now it looks like Evan Belford, certainly at Snetterton, was unstoppable, to put it lightly.
Yeah. It's looking as like his championship to lose at the moment. I'm sure he wouldn't like me saying that, but...
no, he hates it when I suggest he's the firm favourite now. He's like, I don't know about
even
that.
When he doesn't...
No pressure.
Even when he doesn't win, he's very good at being consistent. So I think he can feel pretty relaxed at this precise moment on how things are going. He has a lot of experience in the class. I think this is his 3rd year in it now. So
fourth season, I think. 4th season.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of experience, and I think he will be able to keep that lead all the way to the end of the season. And like I said, hopefully he will get that chance on the Michael Laverty bike towards the end of the season that we saw the comments on.
Yeah, wow, that's out of context, Jay. Tell us more.
Facebook.
Hey, so anyone can go look at it themselves.
It's just like you mentioned it, just like out of the blue, as though people already know what you're talking about. It's just
they would. You go on the Michael Laverty page and it says it in a comment.
Basically, what happened was there was the picture of the new rider. His name is
Marco Morelli.
Marco, there we go. I didn't forget his name. And underneath it was Luke Fitchett's dad saying it'd be great to see Evan Belford get a ride. And then the team replied, yeah, well, we'd love to get him on, basically, paraphrasing what they said. We'd love to get him in for the last 2 rounds of the championship, all being well, and contracts and...
So I'm guessing the last 2 rounds of the championship are after the end of the British Talent Cup, because then he would be able to go in it with no pressure and just go and enjoy or do his best in those last 2 rounds, knowing that he is British Talent Cup champion.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah. You heard it here first, J. King.
Yes, but he doesn't have to worry about getting injured, that's what I'm saying.
No, just become champion first, and then you can do everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure at all. But basically, yeah, Evan was... in a strangely motivated, because Snetterton was actually the place, I think, last year he broke his leg. Or was it? Yeah, it was last year.
No, it was Silverstone.
Okay, then. Right, well, obviously, yeah, I don't remember what the hell happened.
I think he missed Snetterton. No, because I was there, I interviewed him. What are we chatting about?
I don't even know. Anyway, right. It's all right. We'll edit this out of post. It's not live or anything. So anyway, just to put you in perspective of Evan's mindset from the weekend, he finished the combined practice sessions on the Friday almost 2 seconds quicker than anyone else, like 1.8 seconds ahead of his super fast teammate as well. Emmanuel Brinton. And in qualifying, it looked like he was going to be a similar sort of almost 2 second ahead of everyone else until Brinton put in one quick lap, which really, I think, annoyed Evan in qualifying. So that was because I got to have a chat with him afterwards and he wasn't really best pleased, I don't think. He won his first race, race number 1, as we've already mentioned, by just under 8 seconds. And I think he was roughly about 8/10 a lap quicker or thereabouts over Emmanuel Brinton. Wow. So, yeah. And he did say post-race that he thought he could have probably gone even quicker, I think. And he was very disappointed to only just finish 2.5 seconds ahead of Lucas Brown in the slippery, greasy, damp, wet conditions at Snetterton race 2.
You're making it sound like Evan is...
Well, he did win both races by a big margin. But I suspected he'd sort of rather just realised he's got a commanding lead, don't risk it, not even for a biscuit. So he just backed off the pace a little bit. And only won by 2.5 seconds over Lucas Brown, who seemed shocked that he was even there because amidst all the first lap chaos and everything, nobody actually seen him take second, and then he was just like, "Oh, yeah, what? Lucas Brown? Okay, no offense, Lucas, but I mean, as I say, even he didn't expect to be on the podium. But a lot of people don't remember, Jay, but Lucas Brown actually beat Johnny Garnett to the British Championship at Fab Racing. Yeah. So Lucas Brown definitely is quick.
The ultimate height difference from two riders in Fab Racing, that was.
Yeah,
height gate.
If you can find some old podium pictures of Johnny
we've got
and
footage
Lucas,
going back years, yeah.
Yeah, if you find some old pictures of Lucas and Johnny on the podium, it is the height difference.
There was a funny picture I saw on a couple of, if this is from like 3 years ago or something, when Rossi Banham, this was at Alton Park, Rossi Banham was in like the scrutineering bay and Johnny Garnett was stood next to him, and Johnny Garnett was only like up to like there on him, basically.
Yeah. And it's like, Rossi is not like the tallest person in the world either.
No, he's like my height.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should get, for those wondering how Johnny is, he's still on his road to recovery. A long way to go, it seems. I'd be good to get him back on the show, really, if he's up for that. I don't know. Understand if he don't want to come on, obviously. But it'd be good to hear from him anyway. No pressure, so I'll invite him on, see if he's up for it at some point. So, but talking about all these Fab graduates and Fab racing, just to squeeze in a little program notes for the weekend. Fab racing, round 5, the calendar of the British Championships, Mini Bikes Championships, is on this weekend at Clandau Karting Circuit, and Motorsport Radio will have live coverage of every single race, all 3 races in all 10 categories, and Lewis Ray will be commentating this weekend. Lewis, you're looking forward to it?
Yes, I am, and it doesn't look like it's going to be the best weather conditions, so I'm happy not to be on the bike racer and start getting to be in a nice and dry commentary box speaking about the racing, screaming and shouting about the racing. So yeah, it should be a good weekend, and hopefully it's some close battles on the track.
Jay, you'll also be at Clandau, where you'll be ecstatic. It's one of your favourite circuits in the entire planet, yes. And you love racing in the rain around there.
Yeah, I've missed the last 2 Fab rounds, and Landau is definitely the best one to come back to. I'm so gutted it'd be the last ever time I go in there, but there you go.
Well, we're just hearing it might not be, because the new owners taking over may not destroy it and change it into flats or caravan park or whatever. They might just keep it as a race track. So we might go back there again as the British Championships Fab Racing.
Try not to smell too much, Jay.
That's brilliant. I'm so pleased with that.
So good. You never know. You might even get a podium.
Yeah, you never know. I'm not brilliant in the wet, but there you go. We'll see.
There you go. Well, anyway.
Back to BSB.
BSB, of course. And,
we haven't talked about Supersport yet. That was probably the best racing of the weekend. Well, the first race that I saw.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that then.
Yes. So, Luke Stapleford in the first race crashed out with a pretty comfortable lead, which was very not like Luke Stapleford. He's normally ultra consistent. And, he probably had about a 2-second lead over Tom Booth Amos with, I believe, about 3 laps to go. And, lost the front, I believe, on the corner going onto the back straight. I don't know the name of it. And, Tom Booth Amos went on to win the race. And it seems a bit like in this Supersport class that no one wants to win the championship, because as soon as someone takes the lead in the championship, they decide to throw it down the road, because it was Tom Booth-Amos at Knockhill, and then this week it was Luke Stapleford. But I believe he did come back on Sunday and did win the Sunday race, so he did make up for it then, I believe.
Just having a look on TSL, they've not even updated the points from the Sundays on some of the...
Yeah, I had a look at that. The British Stamp Cup's still not updated for race 2, which is pretty strange, unless if maybe they're looking into any results or something like that.
Some technical infringements.
Yeah, not a criticism, guys. I know everyone works extremely hard at TSL. It really isn't. But just a little reminder, nudge, nudge. There's a couple of classes that don't have the points. I'm sure that will be corrected soon. But yeah, anyway, good racing on the Sunday in Supersport. Lewis, what did you make of what went on?
Somewhat strange, to be honest, before the race started, because on the interview with Tom Booth-Amos on the grid, he was basically saying that he wasn't happy with a decision that's been made and a change that's been made to his motorcycle, and he wouldn't say what, and he said he doesn't want to get anyone in trouble, which is why he's not saying anything. And he was pointing down somewhere on his bike, but even no one could understand really what's going on there. But he sounded like he wasn't happy with it. He said he doesn't think it's going to help him at all. And then in the race, he looked to be he didn't look to be really off the pace. I mean, he finished in third overall, but Rhys Irwin finished in front of him in second, which is a great result from him coming off his World Superbike debut. But yeah, Tom Booth-Amos, it's not where he would want to be in third place. I mean, he wasn't too smiley, let's just say. And yeah, it was just a strange scenario, to be honest, because no one could work out what was happening. And I think it was even James Whittam that was on the grid, and he couldn't even work out what he was trying to point at and tell the audience what's been changed. So yeah, he didn't want to say anything because he thinks he's going to get in trouble for it, or someone's going to get in trouble for it. So yeah, Tom Booth-Amos obviously had that massive crash at Knockhill, so even to be on the grid fighting strong at World Superbike and then at BSB at Snetterton is it's so great to see. But Luke Stapleford taking the race, winning race 2 by 1.5 seconds over Rhys Irwin and Tom Booth-Amos, as I said, in third, and Tom Taparis having a good result in fourth as well. And further down the field anyway, the GP2 winner, which we quite often forget about because it's not really spoken about, to be honest, the GP2 class. But Joe Collier took the race win on the Kramer machine, actually. And it's a really nice machine to go look at in the paddock anyway. And a little shout out for Scottish rider Sam Monroe, who returned to British Superbikes this weekend with the R&R racing team on a Yamaha R6. And yeah, he decided last weekend to take another shot at the British Championship, and he finished 13th in race 2, so an 11th in class. So a solid result for your first time back at British level.
Yeah, also Harvey Claridge in the GP2 class finished third in that class, 14th overall in race number 2. And Luca Allen was racing once again. I always seem to keep an eye out just for Luca Allen. Also because he's occasionally at Fab as well when he's not in a wheelchair or in hospital. But yeah. He did finish. I think he had a solid weekend. I don't know. I've not spoken to him. I don't know what he thought, to be perfectly honest.
It seems, I think this year for Luke especially, it's got to be somewhat of a building year, especially after the round 1 crash at Silverstone. But I was speaking to Luca at Knockhill, and he was basically properly explaining the classes to me, the difference between the Supersport and the GP2. Obviously, we all know the GP2 is the Grand Prix chassis, but the engines themselves, the GP2 bikes, whatever engine you choose to put in it, whether that be a Honda, a Kawasaki SJ, darts off. But whatever engine you choose to have in your GP2 machine, then it has to stay standard compared to the Supersport class, where you can tune it to the moon, basically. So you're on a 120, 130 horsepower bike compared to a 160 horsepower Supersport bike. So the GP2s, they're never usually at the front anyway during the races, and always further down the field, which is why we don't normally see them. But yeah, it was just really interesting to hear about the different classes and actually why there's such a difference in positions anyway. And of course, this year as well, they brought back the Supersport Cup, which was won by Jonathan Railton, 15th position overall, first position in the Cup class. And yeah, that's so it's technically 3 races going on in one, but it seems anyway we normally only see the lead battle, which to be fair, this year in Supersport, it's been some of the best racing that we've seen all weekend, and it's certainly one of the closest classes, and certainly the new regulations are working at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. To talk about what happened in race number 1, as I think we mentioned that Tom Booth Amos won, Rhys Irwin second, and Ben Curry in third place. But GP2 in race number 1, Joe Collier won that. Cameron Fraser in second place, and Harvey Claridge again on the podium in third place. And the winner of the Cup class, Tom Tunstall, Jonathan Railton only in second place, and James Bull in third in the Cup class as well. So just having a quick look. I don't know
if you saw the interview that Jamie Whittam did with Luke Stapleford before, I'm guessing it was on like the Friday or Thursday at Snetterton, just discussing how much like he doesn't even know if he'll finish the season, because he says it's very expensive. It is just literally him and his mates running the team, and it'd be a real shame if he finishes halfway through the season when he's leading the championship. So it was really surprising to see that interview, and how tough it can be, even if you are winning a British championship, if you're kind of doing it on your own, that if you can afford to do it. And he says at the moment he's doing it through pure enjoyment. He's not actually like getting anything out of it. So it's interesting to see if he'll actually finish the season, and it's going to make it really open, because Tom Booth Amos can't do all the rounds to the end of the season, because I believe there are some World Superbike rounds that do clash. Luke Stapleford, like he said, he doesn't even know if he's going to finish the championship, and then probably the next closest one after that is Ben Curry, and he hasn't even won a race all season. So
yet
it's really, really open to, we could still see Rhys Irwin on this 15-year-old Suzuki could still land up winning the championship. So it's really interesting at the moment where this Supersport Championship's going to go.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Just lots of ifs, buts and maybes.
Yeah.
Any ideas, Lewis?
Yeah, it really just depends on how the season pans out at the moment, because the first half has been quite unexpected, because Ben Curry, certainly at the start of the year, it looked like he was struggling to adapt slightly to that bike, and he certainly took some time anyway to adjust to it, and now, go at the end of race 1 at Snetterton, he was actually leading the championship, Ben Curry, by 4 points over Tom Booth Amos and Luke Stapleford, and both them riders, of course, Booth Amos and Stapleford, on the Kawasaki's. So really it's a 900cc V2 twin-cylinder Ducati versus 2 inline 4 Kawasaki's 600s, 636s, and then a 750 Suzuki, and then a 600 R6 with Jamie Vansel Kikarus in 5th, and I proper butchered his name. But it's been a great year so far in Supersport, and I really can't wait to see how it pans out, because, for example, Alton Park, I was there on the Monday because it was bank holiday weekend, and then whenever we had the likes of Richard Cooper racing on the R6, even he started to get involved, and then you have to wonder if he did the full season, where would he be at the moment? But Luke Stapleford, going into this year, he had no intention, I believe, of even doing a full season, and it wasn't until he realised how competitive he was and how much he was enjoying racing again that he then committed to do the rest of, hopefully the rest of the year, but really right now it seems to be as far as his budget can take him. And certainly, like example in race 1, that's a bit more like eating into your budget, just a small mistakes, just a small front ender, that's some of your budget gone as well. So hopefully he can do the rest of the season. And to be honest, I think it would be really nice to see Stapleford take the championship. He's such an experienced rider, and of course with a team that is run by just his mates, I think it would be something special to see him take the championship. So personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Stapleford take the championship, but equally Rhys Irwin, I mean, he's a young and up-and-coming talent, and seeing a Suzuki on the top after 1 year after Suzuki officially left motorcycle racing, it would be something pretty special as well. So really, I think whoever's going to win this year, it's going to be truly deserved, and it's going to be pretty special.
So watch this space, or Eurosport, or Quest.
I think there will
Quest or
probably
Discovery or TT.
be a few teams next season looking at Riso, and I think he's probably one of the favourites maybe that could graduate to BSB next season.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I think Tom Bouffamos would probably want to go with the results he's getting in World. He'd be hoping, I think, to get a full-time World Supersport ride for next season. And I think he does deserve it because he is doing well on that old Kawasaki that he is doing part-time in World Superbikes at the moment. So I think he would like to go the world route. And like I said, Luke Stapleford, I think he's kind of just enjoying racing and going round by round, really. So, yeah, it'd be good to see Rhys Irwin hopefully get a chance in British Superbikes.
All depends on budgets, of course.
Yes, definitely.
Doesn't mean that just because someone's doing really well and they deserve a place somewhere, that they're definitely going to get it. Because, well, they might be like me, skint.
No, you're made of money, Lester. I don't know what you're chatting on about.
Yeah, what am I talking about?
Got a studio in the west wing of your house. I mean, you can afford it, can't you?
Just bought a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Ferrari which identifies as a Ford Mondeo from 2006. So
anyway, going back to new riders, obviously we did speak about who was going to get the McCann's ride, and I did say maybe Franco Bourne should get it, and he did land up getting a British Superbike ride. I don't know if that was announced.
Why have we not talked about that yet?
That must have been announced after our show from last
week. Seconds afterwards, probably, I think.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the day after our show he announced that it would replace Andrew Irwin at Honda.
Yeah. So I was nearly right. He didn't get the Yamaha ride, but he did get the Honda ride. So, it was good to see him get the opportunity. Obviously, he's now probably going to have lost out on the Stock 1000 Championship because he's missed around. But I don't think he embarrassed himself.
A long way to go, yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. You never know. But, I don't think he embarrassed himself at Snetterton. Obviously, I think he got 2 finishes. It looks like he had a collision with Hickman in the last one. He didn't embarrass himself. He wasn't at the bottom of the timesheet. So I think he'd be happy with his performance.
I'm going to say he deserves to be in BSB because he's super quick. He's a nice lad. And, he's just one of them nice people that you just want to do well and get to the top. And, well, now he's there. Hopefully he can find a way to stay there, even if it's just for a brief period this year, just a couple of rounds. But definitely he's opened the door for next year somewhere.
I think I watched kind of a little YouTube video that Honda did when they went testing at Cadwell before the BSB round. And his team that he's currently in with Stock 1000 were they were a bit not unhappy, but they were a bit disappointed that they had lost their man in the Stock 1000 Championship. But they said, this is what we were hoping for. We just thought this was going to happen in 2 years' time, not in 5 months' time. So they were very surprised how quick he got the ride. So I don't think Franco would be too disappointed if he didn't land up getting a BSB ride for next season, because I think he, in his head, he's probably achieved well over what he expected in Stock 1000 at the start of the season. So if he doesn't get a BSB ride next year, I don't think it matters. If he's for another season in Stock 1000, I think he'd be perfectly happy with that.
Go on.
Currently after Snetterton anyway, Franco Bourne is 69 points away from the lead in the championship, 8 points behind Alex Olsen in 4th, so he's not a million miles away still, even after missing a race. And of course the lucky thing is anyway about Snetterton is that Stock 1000s, they only get 1 race for the whole weekend, so instead of missing out 50 points, he's only missed out on a possible 25. But this year, Franco Bourne certainly has impressed everyone this year. I mean, we already knew he was a quick rider, but rocking up at Snetterton, first time racing a Stalker 1000, and then taking the race win at Silverstone. So, he's been super impressive. Of course, runs slick tyres now as well, so at least he didn't have to adapt to that in his Superbike debut. It was a solid weekend, I think it's fair to say. I mean, he didn't make too many mistakes. Towards the end of the weekend, obviously, we've seen the collision with Hickman and Franco Born, but we never actually seen what happened. But it looked like Hickman was very annoyed at him anyway. But in race 1, they finished down in 19th, so inside the top 20 on his first ever race, finished in front of Peter Hickman, actually, who finished in 20th, and finished in front of Hector Barbara and Liam Delves. So, yeah, I think it's a very, very respectable result to be inside the top 20 on your debut at British Superbike. So I think he has to hold his head up high. But I don't know really what the situation is with Andrew Irwin at the moment, and whether if he's feeling confident that he's going back for Brands Hatch or not. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know if you guys have seen anything.
Well, he was on the TV coverage. He was there.
He did the full works, didn't he? He was there all weekend.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I wasn't listening to a word he said because I was busy doing my own thing. So I don't know actually what he said when he was there. I'm sure the team would have asked him, and his answer would have even been something along the lines of, well, yeah, I can't wait to get back as soon as I'm ready. Don't know.
Yeah, I never heard him. I watched all of Saturday, all the build-up, everything. And, he never got mentioned when he was actually going to be back.
That's like the number one question I would have asked him. Yeah. When you coming back?
Maybe he's going into full-time punditry. We don't know. He might be doing that full-time now. Maybe he's given the racing up.
Rumours are starting to spread like wildfire now. Retirement.
I don't think so. All the Irwins are very hungry for their racing, so I doubt he'll be retiring very soon.
But it was it was really good to see Franco anyway make his debut and get some initial experience in a good team, on a good bike, at a good track. So, obviously we weren't expecting him to go out there and do absolutely crazy, wild things, but just get a bit of experience and have a bit of fun, which is, I think is what he did. So, fair play. And whether he's at Brands Hatch next week, next weekend, isn't it? Week after this.
He'd definitely be there. It's just depending if it'd be on a Superbike or a stock 1000 bike.
Oh, true, yeah. Is there a chance he could do both? Probably not.
I believe you can do both. You
can. Charlie did it last year.
Yeah, when he debuted for the at Donington Park, he did both.
Okay, well, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Certainly. So, BSB, race number 1 then. The results, if you didn't see it, Tommy Bridewell won the race, but only just almost 7/10 of a second from Josh Brooks on the FHO BMW, and O'Halloran in 3rd, Glenn Irwin in 4th, Christian Idden in 5th, continuing his decent run in the season. Danny Kent in 6th place, and Tito Rabat ending race number 1 in 10th place, and Franco Bolm, we were just talking about him, in 19th place, ahead of Pete Hickman. And in race number 2 in BSB, it was Bridewell again from Josh Brooks and Leon Haslam on the podium. Glenn Irwin just narrowly missing out in 4th place on that podium, and Danny Kent in 6th place, and local lad from Thetford, Ryan Vickers, as Jack Bernicle always used to say, finishing in 9th place in race number 2, and Kyle Ryde a little bit off the boil that weekend.
Yeah, we've been talking about the brilliant how well people were doing the weekend, but there was a few disappointments as well, weren't there? Especially Kyle Ryde, he was really off the pace all weekend, and also Storm Stacey. He'd been doing really well up till Snetterton, and I'm not sure if he even scored a point all weekend, did he?
16th place in race 1 he finished.
16th in race 2.
Yeah, 16th in race 2, and DNF. I don't remember that DNF in race 3.
It was a mechanical issue, I believe. I was watching live timing as well. It just showed that he pulled into the pits.
Right, okay.
Well. Yeah, not a good weekend. So I'm guessing they had bikes set up or problems because, he was on a really good, confident run up till that point. So, a bit unusual.
Well, race number 3, Glenn Irwin did finally get a podium. He was 2nd, just behind Tommy Bridewell. And Leon Haslam in 3rd place. Vickers coming good, just 4th though for Ryan Vickers.
He was pushing very hard for that podium. He was making some big lunges. He really did want to get a podium in front of his home fans, Leicester, but just missed out. But he did put everything into it to try and get it.
Well, that's what we like to see. That's good. Ryan Vickers, we know his pace is there, and I'm going to say good results for Vickers for that race 3. Christian Idden in 5th place, and Kyle Ryde in 8th. Tito Rabat, race 3, in 10th place. Max Cook in 13th. And, a load of DNFs from race number 3 as well.
I think Max got his best result of the season in the first one. I think he came 11th. I think that was his best result of the season.
Yeah, so. 11th in race 1 and 14th in race 2 and 13th. So just outside the top 10 in all 3 races.
I think he's leading, because there's quite a few rookies this year in BSB, so I think he's leading the rookies at the moment, I believe.
Okay. I'll take your word for that.
Also, going back to the Beer Monster Ducatis, they're getting on too well at the moment. I don't know about what you two think.
Too well?
They are getting on too well at the moment. Tommy Bridewell.
Oh, hang on. What? Paul Burr's been on. He's saying, what the hell are you talking about too well?
He's trying to light the fire at the moment. I don't know if you watched his interview at the end of the first race where he pretty much, he did apologise actually in his last interview. He basically said, I was either going to basically knock off Glenn Irwin or I was going to win. He basically said I was going to run into the side of him. But when they interviewed Glenn, like half an hour later, he was very like, oh, well done, Tommy. He deserved the race win. He was the better rider. But I'm waiting for these two to boil over a bit. I think it will happen at some point, especially if they are these two that look like they're going to go into the 2 riders to be championship contenders.
Maybe they'll just keep it clean for the rest of the season and they'll become good friends and live happily ever after. I don't know about this.
These are 2 people who have been trying to win this British Superbike Championship for quite a few years now. And yeah, I think even if like Kyle Ryde could get involved as well, even though he had a disappointing Snetterton, he has had a good season up till then. Also, we've got Josh Brooks as well. I think it's going to be I think there is going to be some controversy before the end of the season. Maybe a bit of, if you're old enough to remember Neil Hodgson and Chris Walker, maybe we'll get a bit of that again.
Well, I'm going to stay neutral on the subject, so I'm not.
They're very
saying
fiery
anything.
characters are Glenn Irwin and Tommy Bridewell.
If we've seen, I mean, well, first of all, whenever you said they're going too well, I thought you meant the actual team in the bike. But yeah, the 2 riders, it's certainly starting to get a bit feisty on the circuit anyway between them. They're
That's
not
what we
really.
like, isn't it? That's what
Exactly. That's what we like.
Elbows out.
If, for example, we've seen towards the end of the season potentially some friction within the garage, which, I mean, you're battling for a British Championship for the Premier Class and British motorcycle racing, and you're going to want to beat it, even if it is your teammate. So I think towards the end of the season we're going to see some friction, and I think that's going to be really good for the audience, to be honest. I mean, you look back, as you said, the Chris Walker and Neil Hodgson day. I'm obviously too young to remember anything like that, but I've watched videos from it, from that era, and it's good for TV coverage, and it was good to lure in fans and good to get people going to the circuit just to watch the races, because there was practically a fight and an argument on and off the circuit every single weekend between the 2 of them. So, I mean, for example, we've seen it in MotoGP as well, and Marquez and Rossi, and right now everyone within that paddock is getting along and they're all best friends off the circuit. And in reality, what the TV wants to see sometimes is some riders, some friction anyway, I think it's fair to say, between them. And yeah, some tension within the garage, and it just adds to the excitement of the weekend. And certainly for a TV and a fan perspective, that's kind of what you want to see.
Yeah, without it spilling over into dangerousness.
Yes.
Then yeah, absolutely. Bring it on. Bring on all the the talk and stuff in interviews, and it's like
mind games. And,
all that sort of stuff. It's all kind of fascinating for people like us to talk about and whatnot. But
I think the closest in the GP paddock at the moment is Albolino and Pedro Acosta. I don't think they see eye to eye, but there hasn't been that one-on-one battle on track yet where it's made it go into that sort of thing. So I think at some point that may boil over a bit. But in MotoGP, they're all far too nice at the moment. They're too cuddly at the moment. They need to be less friends. I think it's only Jack Miller really that can wind anyone up. The rest are all too...
Well, everyone knows to just ignore him, whatever he says, because he's always winding people up. But, I just had an interesting thought regarding what you were both saying, and I wasn't. If it was going to happen the way you two suggest it is going to happen, and I'm not suggesting it, then I can see it probably happening in the showdown. Maybe at the last round.
You've also got to remember with Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin, they're both at the age where they're probably not going to get World Superbike rides. This is their championship, isn't it? This is what they are. This is going to be the biggest thing they probably ever win.
Tommy Bridewell's been on. You what, mate?
Well, he has done some wild cards, I believe, in World Superbikes before.
Been there.
I think he did one at Imola where they're going next weekend.
Yeah, I think he subbed for Eugene Laverty, I think, when he had a big... maybe I'm misremembering, but he has dipped his toe.
It is probably going to be the case if this is the biggest championship these guys are going to win. So it means a hell of a lot for both of them, especially with Tommy, because obviously he lost his brother in British Superbike, so... It's massive for both of them. So I can see there being, going head-to-head big style at some point this season.
What do you think?
Poor Paul Bird has got to try and keep them separated.
It's easy for you to say.
That's a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Paul Bird, I think, would sort them out and give them a talking to if needed anyway. But yeah, I think as we get into this showdown, of course, the points change then as well. There's a bit more in the line for them, so that potentially even more chances, more points in line, more to lose. And yeah, I think that's when we might see it as well. Of course, the showdown starts in just 3 rounds' time at Alton Park, just after Cadwell. 4 rounds' time actually at Alton Park. And then it's a 2-round showdown this year. Keep in mind, before we go into the final, or the finale at Brands Hatch, where they earn, I think, 30 points or 35 points. So I think this year,
remind me of the system of how it works again.
You remind everyone else, Lewis.
Is there a certain amount of riders that can win the championship, or can everyone win it?
No, everyone can win the championship this year. And instead, like other seasons, as I quickly try and find the exact system because it's so hard to remember. But right now, they only earn 18 points for a race win. And that's how it is in the main season at the moment. And it's like normal, top 15, but the race winner just gets 18 points. And then as we get to Alton Park, it then goes up to what we've been used to for the past, God knows how many years. In every other championship, it's 25 points for a race win for them 2 rounds. And then at the final round of the championship, it's 35 points for a race win in the final 3 races of the year. It's a lot more on the line as the season progresses anyway. So basically, in short, once the showdown starts, it's back to normal points. And then on the final rounds, it's 35 points for a race win, 30 points for second, and 27 points for third. So, the top 3 riders earn more points than what they normally would. So, it's going to be confused. It's going to need a lot of reminders anyway to the fans this year. I think it's safe to say, as is, of course, the first year of us doing it. But I think that's going to help tension boil over even more as we get to the final round with 35 points in every single race on the line.
Can you imagine, though? Wow. Just imagine it does come down to it. Yeah, I can imagine that. So just remind me, the points with the showdown, the new showdown thing, no points get reset like they used to. Everyone just keeps their existing points.
It's not getting up to what used to be 1,000 points to top 8 riders, and it would be done on podium credits and all that lovely stuff. But now it's upped back to the normal 25 points. It's up to normal 25 points for a race win once the showdown starts.
So the showdown is just basically just in name only. It could almost be renamed like Super BSB or bonus points rounds or something like that.
Yeah. Literally, it's kind of just trying to get people built up, I think, for the final round of the championship, which is then called the finale, which is then 35 points.
Yeah, which coincidentally is the last round of the season.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, Harry Cook has been on, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah, we did. Good evening, Harry. He says, great ride from all in Superbikes. Tommy had great tyre management. Ryan Vickers rode well, says Harry.
Yeah, I mean, Vickers in race 1, I believe it's a throttle sensor issue or something like that, which caused him to DNF from the race. But in qualifying, actually, from both the OMG bikes, it was somewhat disappointing. Of course, though, Vickers, I would say he probably still had the pace because he did have a crash on the second lap, which ended his qualifying session, really. And Kyle Wright, he just seemed to not be comfortable on that Yamaha R1, and it was down the order, not somewhere where we used to see him. Even in race 1, he was still continuing to struggle down in 13th, and that's somewhere where we haven't seen Kyle ride all year. He's been consistently battling within the top 5, and it wasn't really until the Sunday where things started to click for him. But certainly at his home round, it was good to see Ryan Vickers at least end his weekend on a high. And certainly in the final race of the weekend, he was riding so strong, and you could tell he was trying, and he was giving it absolutely everything to keep with them. But Kyle ride a strange weekend for him, and certainly the Friday and Saturday are days to forget for him.
Yes. Sorry, I was just checking something else out. Sorry. I was paying attention. Definitely. Okay. Other stuff to talk about. Sorry, we just got a comment flooded in from a Mr. Kiko Giles, co-presenter on the Breakfast Show here on Motorsport Radio, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. Stream it every weekday morning during the season. He says, what a lovely haircut there, Mr. Forbes. Oh, yes. Yeah, Turkish barbers, you see. You're right there, Jay. You can't believe it.
He got excited.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody cat.
But yeah, no, it's a big event when I get my hair cut because, as I said, everyone knows when I like to represent a bit of fashion in the paddock.
I should have one before next week's show as well, so I'll be joining you.
I'm going to have to get this redone to get turned into a mess.
What happened to your blue do?
Oh, that was a COVID thing. I'm done with that now.
Your blue weave.
Yeah, it's gone now. Everyone keeps saying get it back, but I'm done with that now. I'm just going to keep with the blonde to keep the greys away now.
Right.
Maybe you should do the same, Lester.
Yeah, well, when I'm not going bald, I mean, it's too late for me. I'm just, I'm just trying to grow old gracefully. It's not happening, though. Anyway, moving on. Right, so we talked about Supersport. That's anything else left to say about Supersport other than just watch this space? It's too close to call, and for every just having a look at the calendar.
It's extremely open.
Yes, yeah. Brands Hatch next one, 2 races in that one. So yeah, we've nothing else for us to say. We're just chatting nonsense if we pretend that we know what we're talking about with Supersport.
Does Brands Hatch clash with World Superbikes from Tom Booth Amos be at Brands Hatch?
When is it? Let me have a look at the
next
calendar.
End of July, World Superbikes heads to
Does
the
not clash. Yeah.
No. So Tom Booth Amos will be at the next one.
Yeah, and that was okay. Interesting. Anyway, talking about the Stock 1000, or the National Superstock Championship that nobody calls it. That was
the Pirelli National Superstock with Santander Consumer Finance Championship, which
Stock
absolutely
1000.
No one calls it.
Yeah. Oh, Stock 1000. Yeah. Even though it's not quite, they're not all 1,000, but it's just call it Stock 1,000 again. Anyway, Dan Linfoot continued his winning streak at the weekend with another win. And Richard Kerr in he was on the podium, but it was Alex Olsen. Was he actually on the podium, actually? I don't think he was. Who else was on the podium? Alex Olsen,
Billy McConnell.
Billy McConnell. There we go. Stop reading from the points, Lester. Anyway, so yeah. So Superstock National Championship, Stock 1000. Did we watch this, Jay? Oh, you were busy racing, weren't you? You were busy.
Yeah, wow.
Fuming.
Sitting on the sidelines waiting for
watching
oil.
rain and people trying to clear up wet oil. So no, unfortunately, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't know that the Superbikes was on Quest, so it recorded. I was recording some amateur bike race called the Tour de France instead. So yeah, I didn't get to watch any of the Sunday support races, unfortunately.
Did you not check on Facebook what channel British Superbikes was on?
If only someone had mentioned what channel it was on the internet. I don't know. They really should publicise that. Nobody even mentions it. But anyway, so Lewis, then I'm guessing you did watch the old Stock 1000 race. Any good?
Yeah, I mean, at the front, Dan Lunsford winning once again, 1.5 seconds. It wasn't really a battle for the ages at the front anyway, but certainly what all eyes were actually on was the up-and-coming, from the back of the grid anyway, Lewis Rollo, who, of course, had an accident at Knockhill and took out Alex Olsen at the hairpin, and because I got sent to the back of the grid. But during the race, he made his way up through the field, and then he got given a long lap penalty during the race, which then he had to serve, and then even after all that, he still finished inside the top 10. So the cameras were on him for quite a lot of the race, to be honest, a couple of laps of the 12-lap race, just focusing on his ride, his recovery ride anyway. But Dan Lindfoot winning and Alex Olsen in second. Billy McConnell, it was a good race there for him, and the battle for the podium as well. Richard Kerr just behind. So yeah, at the front, it wasn't too many battles, not really what we like to see from the Stock 1000. It's usually slightly closer, but over the past couple of rounds, Dan Lindfoot is almost becoming untouchable, to be honest, and it looks like he's the man to beat, certainly at the front. But yeah, it was a good race, nothing to really write home about, unlike other Stock 1000 races that we've seen this year. But yeah, it looks like Lindfoot's the person to beat, and you know, if he can keep it up, he could even take the championship, which I think we'd all love to see. Such an experienced rider as well. So yeah, it wasn't really anything too dramatic that happened. Mainly it was just Lewis Rollo's recovery ride during that race. But Alistair Seeley as well, finishing in 6th in that one, getting bit by Joe Talbot. And yeah, it was an all right race.
No, it was all right.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair enough.
There's not much There's not much to say about it, to be honest. It was kind of just it was dry for them as well, which I like to see. But actually, I'm just looking at the results as well, and the amended results, I should say, with Sam Cox also getting disqualified after the race, was finished with a technical infringement, and Alex Olsen actually, which I forgot to mention, got a new lap record at Snetterton as well, which was great from him, a 149.104 from him on board the Honda, which actually I love the look of Alex Olsen's Honda. It's one of my favourite bikes on the entire BSB support class. Yeah, it reminds me of almost a old Rothmans Honda looking inspired bike anyway.
I think I know the one you mean. I'm going to try and find a picture. I think I vaguely know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, it just looks retro. It just looks cool anyway, riding around the circuit. And it's great seeing him as well, getting good results so far this year. Of course, Olsen, I forgot, maybe 2-3 years ago anyway, where they had that crash, I believe at Silverstone, a really, really bad crash, which sent him actually airborne. But now he's back and fighting fit as well. And Braden Elliott as well, actually, on the Dow Racing machine. Of course, Dean Harrison's team, but in Stock 1000 class, finishing in 7th place. So a great result there from him as well. But yeah, nothing really to write home about in Stock 1000 class. It was just a pretty good race.
By the way, the image, the picture of the bike, just found it because I'm an excellent journalist. I believe that is the one. I believe that is the current, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and have you got a picture of the old 500cc bike to compare it to, Lester?
Oh, Jesus. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
But
there was a very famous save. I'm trying to remember the rider who did it.
Randy Momola.
That's it. That's the bike, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I do vaguely remember when this was announced earlier in the season. I just remember thinking, Rothman, because we were talking about it on the breakfast show, Monday to Friday, 6 till 9 a.m. with Kiko and myself. And we were talking about most favourite liveries. And we were coincidentally talking about this. And then like 2 days later, then Alex Olsen pops up with this, almost as if he was like listening to us, basically.
You inspired his livery for this year.
Well, it's an inspirational retro classic livery. Yeah. Definitely not ripped off from the Rothmans, but definitely is, obviously.
We all appreciate it.
It's nice having something, nice to look at, isn't it? It's, I think a few more teams and a few more people ought to aspire to use inspiration from classic older liveries as well.
Oxford Products did it for the first round because they used Jamie Whittam's old Durex bike, I believe, didn't they, for the first round?
Yeah.
They did go back to a retro colour scheme at the first round at Silverstone, which Christian Eden said he never wants to do that again because I think he had a hideous round and it was a bit unlucky. So, it's not always good to go back with the retro styles. Do you think it will, because for all of, definitely for how long Lewis has been alive, but for me, I've never ever seen, from what I've watched in racing, where a Honda hasn't been in Repsol colours. Will Repsol and Honda ever separate in MotoGP? Because I can never remember there not being a Repsol Honda on a 500 or MotoGP grid.
I think they have last year, I think they had their anniversary they've made a big deal about it, or maybe the year before, where the Repsol and the Honda and the yada yada, they issued a load of press releases and did a thing for it, and the usual press release type of language where they're celebrating the synergy of Repsol with the Honda and the blah 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 and all that sort of stuff. Just to basically,
that has to be the longest partnership, not just in motorbikes but in motorsport history, like with a sponsor and a team. I can't think of any of them that have stayed that long together. You're a Formula One buff, Leslie. Is there anything in Formula One that's...
Probably Marlboro and Ferrari, or Philip Morris and Ferrari. Yeah. Probably, I'm guessing...
But they're cigarettes, so they can't go on the side anymore, can they?
Mission Winnow was technically a Philip Morris company, which sponsored Ducati as well back in 2019.
Yeah. And also they changed their logo to they had various variations of the Ferrari logo, which to those who know reminded them of branding.
With Honda doing so bad at the moment, you never know, Repsol might pull the plug next season.
I mean, I've not been keeping up to date with all of the press releases and who said what and stuff, but, some of the headlines that's been coming out, it's seemingly a bit shaky that at the top there. And, with Marc Marquez, or the team anyway, allowing people to sleep in the team's Marquez motorhome as well. They're selling that. Well, not selling it, but they're putting it up on basically they're turning it into an Airbnb as though he's not going to be needing it for much longer.
Have you seen the price for one night?
Yeah, it's like €99 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, €93 for one night inside the Grand Prix.
That's an insult. I mean, to sleep in Marc Marquez's team's bed, in theory.
You've completely lost
it's a bargain.
Talking about it.
Oh, really? I'll have to get the pictures. Yeah. Go on, talk more.
So you can now get paddock passes to sleep in Marc Marquez's bed.
So basically, Marquez and I believe Airbnb have teamed up to basically rent out his motorhome for the entire Catalan Grand Prix weekend, and his personal.
He's never at race meetings anymore.
his personal motorhome that he uses, and instead he's going to be sleeping in a shared one with his brother, I believe. But basically, you could sleep in his motorhome with all of his memorabilia, his World Championship helmets and levers and shirts, and the one he's normally meant to sleep in for a price of €93 over the course of the weekend, and it actually goes on sale next Wednesday, I believe. And it's no competition. It's literally, if you can book it fast enough, then you can sleep in Mark Marquez's motorhome.
I mean, if you're Mark Marquez, and what must he think anyway? This is the Airbnb page, which for some reason is all black, so it's not rendered properly. But basically, that's the team's. It's not his personal motorhome, which he for some reason shares with his brother. But that's it. The team's motorhome for him, and basically they've stuck a bed in there. I think,
and you can sleep in there.
You can sleep in that bed, which may or may not be Marquez's actual bed. They may have just put a bed in there so that someone can sleep.
He might have made it.
Well, he does have a tool station, so he can sort of glue his arm back together and sort of carry out initial repair. I'm just guessing that might be for his arm or something like that.
Well, I'm going to be entering that competition. It's
not a competition. It's just a transaction. You just go on.
So I've got to ring. I've just got to be the first person to ring up, and hopefully they answer.
I mean, what must Marquez be thinking? Like, they're basically just giving it away. It's almost like insulting. But there he is, just sat on his couch, enjoying his world champion Moto T from 2012 sign there on the wall, which you can touch and feel. And I wonder who's not going to rob things from there?
You've been told not to touch. You can look.
Bollocks! You're gonna have
I
all
reckon there'll be some quite burly security men outside stopping you from taking stuff.
Well, I mean, you could always sort of, I just need to back the car in. I need to get a particularly heavy suitcase, and just need to, and then it's like, oh, where's my couch? Said Marquez. So for some very lucky fan or a super fan, you can sleep in technically what is Mark Marquez's bed for just €99 or something like that.
93.
I reckon it's 93.
Same as his number.
Yeah, 93, Lester.
Oh, okay, right. Well, it could have been 930, couldn't it? Just to add a bit more value to his.
I mean, it's a bargain. Whoever gets it, being in the Grand Prix paddock. Per night. But even then, it's still good to be able to be in the Grand Prix paddock for €93 to sleep in there for one night. It's still pretty good value. Presuming
that does not include airfare or getting travel. It's basically like it's just you're renting out basically accommodation. So you get yourself to the track. I don't know if it does include paddock passes. I mean, you would have
It's inside the paddock where the riders sleep. So
And would it be parked next to in the actual riders' sleeping area, or would it be in the actual?
I believe it's advertised as inside the riders' sleeping area.
So would it be next to Mark's actual private motorhome?
I don't believe it.
Or would it be like sort of over in the corner with like
probably in the corner, and everyone's just like, oh, there's them fans that's
in the corner with Sam Lowe's.
And are you allowed to have about 40?
No parties?
What about if you bring 20 guests over?
It's only 2 guests are allowed, but so it includes a night in Marquez's team motorhome located next to Marquez's private trailer in a trackside area that is only accessible to riders, a closer look at his memorabilia, the perfect VIP village seats to view the race, in addition to pit lane access to witness the start of the Grand Prix, entries to the circuit and VIP passes for exclusive services
for
on Sunday
£93
and Saturday, an opportunity to ride a MotoGP simulator, and a personal guided tour of the paddock, including the pit boxes as well. So yeah, €93 about whatever, 90 quid. That is an absolute bargain, and I think everyone will be wanting to try and get that
I think that phone line is going to be very busy.
Yeah, I wonder who actually ends up getting it. And, well, I might...
Yeah, make a good YouTube video for my vlogs, wouldn't it?
Possibly. I mean, if I bid on it, well, I suppose it'll go. I bet someone will be like, I mean, it's just going to go within seconds, isn't it? It's going to be one of them. And then what if I turn up on next week's show, be like, guess what? It's me. And guess what? I've got to nick absolutely everything. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't advocate for that sort of thing. But coincidentally, here's Marc Marquez's leathers and stuff. But no.
It was a gift.
Yeah, interesting, though, that he does include, like, in his teams. Now, I don't know exactly, like, is that the exact layout that it would normally be in? Would he normally have a bed in his teams if he's got his own private thing next door?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know if he would have all of the memorabilia just, like, all over the place.
Nah, they've made this trailer just for a prize, haven't they? He doesn't really sleep there, does he?
But what does he use it for, though?
He might not. He might have literally made it this for a prize. You know?
No, I mean, I remember it. It's been knocking about in the paddock and stuff. This particular trailer, or one like it. But why?
I'm going to Silverstone this year, so I might see it there. Well,
maybe. Yeah, who knows? I mean, just the cost. I don't think they've made it just for to sell at €93. Just because, I mean, the cost of like getting it to the venue costs, you know, like 5 times that, at least, you know, probably 10 times that amount. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, that one. It's, as I said earlier, it's almost like the team know that they're, you know, he's almost kind of not going to be around.
We were talking about Repsol and Honda before we got...
No, you were talking about it, and that just reminded us of the thing.
Yeah. This all stems from Alex Olsen.
Alex Olsen, what's he got to do with this? Yeah.
Rothams and Repsol and Hondas and Marquez and Honda.
Oh, yeah. Okay, where was we anyway? We were talking about BSB, for God's sake.
Yeah. We got a little bit sidetracked, but yeah, we're just finishing off stock 1,000.
We got excited about the prospect of sleeping in Marc Marquez's bed.
For €93.
Yeah.
Marquez will not be in the bed with you, though.
That's an extra €12, I think.
He has a girlfriend now, doesn't he? I've seen in his Instagram pictures.
Let's not.
What?
That's a whole different...
He has a girlfriend now.
That we could spend another 2 hours on stuff on that. Anyway, BSB and what were we talking about? The Superstock National Championship. Have we talked about everything about that?
Yeah.
I think we definitely have gone on tangents.com. Junior Superstock Championship.
Only one race.
One race at Snetterton and one race for the rest of the season, apart from Brands Hatch, where they have 2. That's the...
I know who won that.
Go on.
Asher Durham won his first ever race. I think it was his first ever race win in that class. You can correct me if you're wrong. I think it was then.
Well, I was busy doing other things with Talent Cups, so I didn't actually get to see what happened in that one. For that race review, Lewis, it's over to you.
I'm awfully surprised, but no, Asher Durham, taking the race win by just 1/10 of a second, but that really wasn't the whole picture between himself and Aaron Sylvester, because although it was close, it was shaping up to be a really good race, but the race was red flagged and that was the end of it, basically. It was shaping up to be a really good race, and Asher Durham and Sylvester was fighting and going at it, and it was starting to heat up anyway. But it was Cameron Dawson who had a crash, and first of all on the TV it looked like he had a high side, but it turned out to be a low side, and his bike just started doing somersaults. He was injured, and he had to take a moment anyway to collect his thoughts and wait for medics anyway and marshals to give him some assistance up. And then, the race was red flagged due to that. But Sam Laffins as well on the Ugly & Co. by Bench Racing Yamaha. he was having a good race as well until he tucked the front as well and crashed out the race. Just on lap 2, he was looking like he was going to fight for a race wins, like we've seen him do it all season. So that's really 2 crashes in 2 rounds, because he had a crash at Knockhill as well at McIntyre's. So yeah, Harrison Crosby as well on the podium in the junior super stock race with Edmund's Best and Owen Jenner in 6th as well. Owen Jenner, he had a tough qualifying session, and not where we're used to seeing him anyway. And in qualifying, just looking at it now, Owen Jenner was down in 16th. Yeah, so not where we expect to see Owen Jenner anyway. And he's
would have wiped a smile off his face.
Well, yeah, maybe actually for one of the few times this season. But yeah, it was a good race. It was what could have been, but obviously it was red flags for a reason. It was good to see that Cameron Dawson was eventually up on his feet and walking away from the crash. Finlay Arscott as well inside the top 10 with Declan Connell as well. Jamie Loynes just outside the top 10 in 11th. And yeah, it was a really good race. And Charlie Atkins, actually, just looking at it now, he was disqualified due to a technical infringement after post-race inspections. So yeah, it was a good race, but what could have been. And yeah, they opened up Sunday's action of racing, but that, of course, I believe there was some drops of rain as well during it, so it was starting to get a bit iffy. That was just before the Talent Cup on the Sunday. So yeah, it was a good race.
Shout out to a local friend of mine, Cam Dixon. He got his best result ever, and he came 4th place on his bright pink R6. So well done, Cam. He might be listening. Out to him.
Well, I know one person who was tuned in earlier because they left a comment. Harrison Crosby, probably just checking if we're actually talking about him. So
yes,
and
getting his first podium in stock 600.
Yeah, good old result. That a bit overdue, if I have to say, as well, Harrison. But let's hope for more of the same, if not 2 steps higher next time.
And inside the top 10 in the championship as well for Harrison Crosby.
Yes, obviously I'm on the right tab now. Yeah, 10th place. And, Aaron Sylvester leading by 25 points at the moment in the Junior Superstock Championship 600.
He's just been really consistent this year as Sylvester.
Yeah, even though he's only won 2 races at Silverstone and Alton.
Right at the start of the year, yeah.
But yeah, like you say, he's just been picking up those points. And to finish first you got to finish, and he has been doing so far. Asher Durham second, just 25 points back. And Owen Jenner third in the championship right now. Cam Dawson in 4th, Ed Best in 5th, Jacob Hatch in 6th, Lewis Fallerly in 7th, Sam Laffins 8th, Declan Connell in 9th, and Harrison Crosby in 10th place at the moment. Going into the next round, Brands Hatch, 1 race for these guys, for these riders.
One race all the way until the final race of the season, final round of the season anyway.
Indeed, yes. And moving on, have we already talked like an hour and a half already? Anyway, did we mention the Junior Supersport Championship?
We mentioned briefly about Finn Smart-Whedon doing very good anyway.
Yes, winning.
The first race was insane as well. I heard there was a bit of an incident on the last few laps in the second race. But the first race was, I think there were probably about a 10-bike battle for the lead. And going back to Finn, in the first race, he did extremely well it looked like he was going to go well in the first race until we had a massive moment. And
was that on the grass?
Yeah, locked the front. He kind of went in a pothole and locked the front wheel, and he did manage to stay on and still gain some points, which might be really important at the end of the season.
I have no clue how he saved that.
He basically got cut up by a rider that was coming back onto line who had run wide. He had to take to the dirt. He locked the front wheel on the dirt, but he managed to stay up somehow. So even though he had been very disappointed, to get some points is better than no points. So, and he certainly made up for it in the second race. But it was an insane first race by the Supersport guys. Another fab graduate, Callum Beach. I think he was leading going on to the last lap. And then I think he finished in about 8th place the time they crossed the line. So it was insanely close. So, some really close races. I think it was Joe Ellis got his first ever win in their first race. So, yeah, really good race for sport guys.
Yeah, race 1, Joe Ellis picking up the honours from Lennon Doherty in second, and Ted Wilkinson, who seems to have found his
classes.
Yeah, he started the season in the R&G British Talent Cup. It's fair to say he wasn't really performing where he thought he should have done. Swapped over, joined the British Supersport Championship, and I think he's already had a couple of podiums already. I think he had one at... Did he have one at Knockhill? Can't remember.
If he did.
But anyway, he definitely got one at the weekend at Snetterton because he finished 3rd in race number 1. Congratulations to Ted. Chloe Jones finished in 4th place in race number 1. And there's again loads of fab graduates in this class. Just looking down the order, and loads of people loads of names that I know. And
I think the top 10 were covered by about
1.7 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's insanely close.
Yeah, and that was Jack Kirsch, Jacob Stevenson, Lewis Smart. Then Finn Smartweeden in 13th, as we mentioned. But race number 2, Finn Smartweeden picking up the honours in the amended race result. There was loads of DNFs in this particular race. Calvin Kelly in 2nd place and Lewis Smart in 3rd. The winner from race number 1, Joe Ellis, only picking up 4th place. Jacob Stevenson in 5th and Rossi Dobson in 6th. Despite having his motorhome stolen the days before.
Broken into,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I remember that on Facebook, and I think I shared it. But anyway, didn't seem to affect his pace too much anyway. So where was the bike then? Not there, I suppose.
I think it was his personal motorhome. I don't think it was the team's garage or
fair enough
pit area. I think it was his personal where he sleeps motorhome.
Yeah, shout out to Abs Thomas, who finished 9th in race number 2, and Katie Hand in 11th as well, and Holly Harris in 17th, coming back from her ankle injury. I think that she picked up while she was being a marshal.
I think that was her best result. I think that was her best result of the season as well.
Knee injury.
Knee injury. Okay, it keeps moving.
Me, yes.
So, there you go. Congratulations, anyway, to those riders. Have we got a championship? Where is it?
Finn Smart, Weedon leads by 1 point over Len Doherty. So yeah, very close. And then Calvin Kelly's Calvin Kelly's 38 points behind Len Doherty. So certainly Doherty and Finn Smart Weedon are the 2 riders to watch at the moment. I mean, it's great to see Finn doing well. He's had a good weekend as well at the Donington Park World Superbike round, which, as he said, in the past, he hadn't really had the greatest luck at them anyway. And Lennon as well, I've known him for a couple of years now, with him being the Scottish rider and racing the Scottish Championship for a couple of seasons. But he came to BSB this year for the first time for a full season anyway, after winning the BMC Team Green Cup.
What makes Lennon Doherty go quick and win races, Lewis?
Oh, wow, you're putting me on the spot right now.
Well, I just noticed he got that double win at Donington at the World Superbike,
and then double win at Knockhill as well.
Yeah, does he have like a secret to going quickly?
Honestly, the best thing that Lennon has ever done was go away from Scotland.
Wow!
It's true.
Wow!
Spent, I think, 1.5 years in Scottish Championship before he went down to BMC, and then since then he's just been amazing, to be honest. I mean, he was still having battles with some boys in Scottish Championship, not me personally. I would say, I'm just gonna put that out there. I was always slightly further back. But yeah, he was always having battles in Scottish Championship with people, and then he went down south and he came back up and he was blisteringly quick. And yeah, certainly his confidence has grew more and more every single year. And certainly BMC, it gives them circuits that they can learn. I mean, we had Finn on the show as well, and Finn, he came from BMC, racing on pretty much the exact same type of bike on the exact same circuits as BSB, and it gives them the perfect building grounds for the British Junior Supersport. I mean, he does also quite a lot of on the off season anyway, and sometimes does some fun rounds anyway. He comes up in Scotland on a Honda CB500 as well, just for a play about on that. But yeah, he's a really quick rider, really nice rider as well. His family's really nice, and yeah, it's great to see him as well. He didn't know going into this year if he would even be doing British Championship or if he would have to do Scottish Championship due to budget. And luckily, they managed to find the budget to do British Championship, and he's making it all work now with results anyway by getting 4 race wins in a row.
Well, we've got some unfortunate news regarding a rider in the Junior Supersport category. Breaking news as of an hour ago, so while we've been on the air, Jack Knights, who it's fair to say struggled in the championship so far, although he did pick up 18th place, finish 18th in race number 1 and DNF from race number 2. He posted this, not the post I ever wanted to write, but it's with deep sadness to basically he's announced that he will not be able to take part in the remainder of the BSB season due to not having the funds after his crash at Snetterton. He says he's so sorry to all his sponsors, hope he can rejoin again in the future. Heartbreak emoji. Oh. But just going back to what you mentioned as well, Jay, there's going to be, I think, a lot more people dropping out. Hopefully not, but well, we've just seen, during the show there, we've seen other people dropping out last week as well for other reasons, it was claimed. And, well, it might not be the end of, these grids are going to start shrinking pretty noticeably. Hopefully not, but...
Hopefully not, but as we all know, motorsport is very expensive. And if you haven't got the right people helping you out, it's very difficult on families to be able to carry on doing it. And as we spoke last week, if you're not enjoying it 100%, it's a lot of commitment, a lot of money to put into it, if it's not something you're enjoying doing. So, yeah, unfortunately, these things do happen.
Yeah. It was also a very unlucky crash anyway from Jack Knights. It was just a high side from him, but then as the bike was just regripping and rotating at an angle, a rider behind him smacked into the side of it and destroyed the side of the bike. So yeah, some big repair costs anyway from that crash it would have been.
Yeah, hopefully he can rejoin the grid soon enough, I suppose. But yeah, unfortunate there. Just happened to pop up on my feed while I was scrolling through and checking out any latest news. And that's not the news that we wanted to bring you, that the grid is shrinking, certainly in the Junior Supersport category. And hopefully everyone from here on in can make it to the end of the season. Fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully. But the whole Junior Supersport front and the 300/400 racing class front, it's a really interesting time ahead for them at the moment, because even for example, the 250s that race at Moto3, there's talks of them getting replaced in the next couple of years. There's even talks of the World Supersport 300 class that might be getting axed potentially in the near future as well for something different anyway, and something that isn't like these heavy, low-powered bikes that means slipstream cause, well, good racing, to be honest. What will they replace it with?
Well, Kawasaki have just brought out a 4-cylinder 400cc bike now, which will be a little bit quicker, basically a mini 600, which will be a lot better, because they did used to race 400s probably in the, I think it was late 90s, early 2000s. There used to be a British Championship for it. They used to race them at the TT and things like that. So maybe if some other brands of motorcycles can bring out a 4-cylinder 400 as well, maybe that is something they could go with.
I mean, right now, sorry Jay, but right now even the Junior Supersport class, even if, for example, we did have a one-make series at the moment, the Junior Supersport class at the moment, it is basically all Kawasaki's anyway, with a couple of Yamahas thrown into the mix.
Yeah. So I think it sounds wrong, but they need to maybe speed the bikes up a little bit to make it safer. Because at the moment, I don't want to put any disvalue to any of the riders that are in Junior Supersport, but it is very easy to not be the quickest rider but still be in that front group, because if you can just get in that front group and stay into the slipstream, then it's not down to so much the talent of the rider, it's down to more of being in the right place at the right time, if you know what I mean, as what we saw in these two races at Snetterton. So yeah, it sounds backwards, but we need slightly quicker bikes to make it safer.
And of course, once they're finished with this class, they're going from a bike that has, for example, 50 horsepower to then over double that onto the 600. Well, this new 400, which I believe has around 70 or 80 out the box, then that's going to mean it's going to, first of all, get them used to an inline 4-cylinder bike, which is slightly different to the twin in the way the power is outputted, and also decrease that gap in the horsepower difference that they're jumping from. It's the same, for example, even in Grand Prix, they're going from a 250 with 60 horsepower to then a 765cc 3-cylinder Triumph. And right now, I think it's probably in our best interest if we have some sort of a middle ground anyway to stop people needing to do big jumps, because at some point anyway, right now in their racing careers, there's no way around it.
No, because if you think about it, a lot of the guys who we see win Junior Supersport, you don't see them up the front in either stock 600s or Supersport. They're definitely not straight on it at the front straight away. It does take them a couple of seasons to get used to that. Like you say, a big jump in power.
Is it?
And we're definitely seeing it this year. Going back to the Grand Prix paddock with forgot his name, the guy who won Moto3 last year, Guevara.
Yeah,
he's really struggling in Moto2 this year, isn't he? He's like, I've heard like he's moaning about a lot of the bikes spinning up a lot of the time, and when they look back at Jake Dixon's data, that is Jake Dixon's actually spinning up more, and he's barely spinning up at all, and he's moaning about it. So he's really struggling with the big jump in power. So yeah, it would be nice to have something maybe a little bit quicker so they're ready for it.
And I believe BEMC actually just last week announced a new class that's meant to be formed, and it's I believe you can race the twin cylinder 400s when you're 14, and then you can then move up to this new production Kawasaki 400 inline 4 after that, and when you're 15, I believe it is.
Super Sport in 24. Yeah,
it's going to be a great little bike. When I raced in BEMC, there still is a 400 class in BEMC. But those bikes are very old now. I mean, you're talking like mid-90s, early 90s. But they were really, really good bikes. And if the new one is just as good as the old one, obviously with all the modern bits that new bikes have now, it's going to be a really impressive bike, not just for the track, but it'll be a really good road bike as well. So exciting times.
So just talking about that BEMC announcement that came over the weekend, just before the weekend, a couple of days ago anyway. Would that be the BEMC Junior Supersport in 24? They're aiming that at, I guess, well, the BSB clientele, obviously. Would it be, how much of a threat would that be to things like the RNG British Talent Cup or the existing, BSB Supersport?
I think it's almost in some category. I think if anything, it could replace the Junior Supersports. Certainly, British Talent Cup, that's in its whole own capacity, with it, of course, being a road to MotoGP and not a production bike. But
it's still an option for those riders of that age, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still an option, but it just depends what you want future in your career later on and what route you want to go down. Certainly for production class racing, I think it's going to open up a whole new door and potentially even getting riders at the front quicker, which could help financially as well, if them not needing to spend money on classes from extra amount of years. But the new class as well, I mean, there's been moans certainly over the past 2 or 3 years about the Junior Supersport and about the World Supersport 300, saying that they're too dangerous, saying that racing is, I guess you could almost say, too close, not because the riders are all close together and talent, which of course in some championships they are, but it's about the fact that the bikes are they're so heavy but they're so underpowered that it's just like a rubber band effect on the circuit, and it creates silly 15 bike battles. And don't get me wrong, it's great to see on the TV, but whenever you start to see some people, getting some red mist, weaving on straights and causing collisions, that's when it starts to get a bit dangerous, and that's when we start to get to see people get hurt. And I think for the past couple of years, certainly World Championship, they've been looking at alternatives anyway for the World Supersport 300 class. And I would say this is a perfect solution if they can get maybe more manufacturers on board. If not, even a one make series wouldn't be a bad idea, because right now the 300 and 400 racing is basically a one make series because everyone wants to be on the Kawasaki 400.
Well, as BMC said in their press release just before the weekend, any bikes from any manufacturer that have competed at national level will be eligible in their class, in this new junior, in their BMC Junior Supersport. The initiative will provide the perfect training environment for young riders, the press release says. The entry level within the Team Green Junior Cup from 13 years old is still available exclusively on the Kawasaki machines, with the addition of the separate Junior Supersport grid. This structure provides a stepping stone for talent and enables parents to preserve the value of their investment. So that reads, yes, they're squarely aiming it at those parents who are looking towards, have an option towards, do I put my kid in the British Talent Cup, for example, or in BSB, Junior Supersport, but depends on the costs ultimately, doesn't it?
It's only really Kawasaki who are making these smaller superbikes anymore, really, because you can't buy the R6 anymore. Kawasaki have just released a new 636 as well, and they've also got this little 400 as well. I think the initial reason why Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki all stopped making these smaller bikes is because they couldn't get them through emissions anymore. So it'd be interesting to see if they can start reworking these smaller 600s and 400 bikes again. So obviously Kawasaki is sticking to it, but it'd be really good if, like Yamaha, Honda used to make a 400 as well. So it'd be good if these guys could all start getting back into it. Obviously Honda do make a 600, but they only sell it in the Japanese market. So be interesting to see.
Just want to go back and talk about some regarding the Vision Track European Talent Cup team that we mentioned earlier in the show. If you've just joined us and you missed what we were saying earlier, basically what many people thought was the philosophy of developing young British and or Irish riders. Certainly that's the impression that I got from certainly the Vision Track and the team branding, the red, white and blue, kind of the fact that every other rider was British or Irish. You kind of got that feel, really, that's what they were aiming to do. Anyway, they've for this weekend signed Marco Morelli, 16-year-old Argentinian, to the team, officially replacing Casey O'Gorman, who left the team. He wasn't fired from the team, according to Vision Track anyway. And yesterday, there was some comments on the Vision Track team, which answers the question that I was asking earlier on in the show. Would Harrison Desoy be on that bike alongside Marco Morelli? The team said yesterday, Harrison Desoy will be alongside team as teammate, flying the flag for the BTC. And replying to Stuart Green on Twitter, this was, who said, thought it was supposed to be an all-British affair, mate. What are you playing at? Or worse to that effect. The team actually said they never stated that. However, developing riders from the UK and Ireland is their main goal, which is kind of what we thought in the end. But having a fast teammate is always good, no matter their nationality. Plus, they were kind of, they need customers, I suppose, so...
They're running out of English people at that age group at the moment.
Mid-season,
they were kind of like stuck for someone. And, Marco was stepped forward. And, obviously no one here knows who he is. See how he goes this weekend.
We don't want to say that we've got no talent in this country. It's just that I think we're in that gap at the moment where we're waiting for quite a few of them to get to that age where they can ride it.
They've already stated that they want to have Evan Belford on, or in the team for the last couple of rounds in the ETC or Junior GP. All being well, that can happen. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I'm just reading some other comments as well from the Vision Track team. This was all kicking off on the MLAV Racing Twitter yesterday, July 10th. Just replying to a few people, and you got to give credit to whoever's doing the social media from that team as well, because they seem to be quite vocal and basically answering everybody's questions, even on Instagram as well, which I don't really want to get into what they said exactly or what Michael Laverty himself said about the Casey O'Gorman's situation, or what Johnny Garnett added to the Casey O'Gorman situation, but clearly there was a breakdown in relations and he left. So anyway, so moving forward, the Vision Track team, got a new rider. Good luck to him, and good luck as well to Harrison Desoy as well. Super quick rider. Unfortunate run of luck lately. He was very enthusiastic about his chances going into the Snetterton weekend, but I think he left a bit disappointed ultimately. But let's see if what he does this weekend. Again, no pressure if you're listening, Harrison. Just go and have fun. Yeah,
and on MLAV Academy's website, anyway, this is a direct quote from it. They do say that they are providing our British youngsters a direct route to MotoGP. So,
oh well,
I mean,
there you go.
It sounds like from their website it was intended for that. But anyway, as long as they have a fast rider on it, and anyway, they're giving a young rider a chance to show his talent, because clearly, I'm sure their first option would have been to look at the British talent, but mid-season, literally in July, I don't think you're going to find too many riders that are going to have the budget spare to go for the rest of the year.
Yeah, they did previously. I think that Reece Stevenson, they'd invited him as well along to join them on a ETC race.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's space for him. Hopefully, again, at some point in the future.
Valencia, I think it was, for Stevenson.
Yeah, but who knows? I'm sure whatever ends up happening with the team, they'll do all right, because we currently do have a really good crop of young British talent waiting in the wings to enter the GP paddock. And coincidentally, almost all of them are Fab Racing graduates. So there you go. If you're choosing Junior Supersport, Bemsey, whatever else, just know where they all started and where they all ended up, or the successful ones anyway, at Fab Racing. Boom. And coincidentally, it's on this weekend. Live coverage right here on Motorsport Radio of every single race. Even Jake King taking his 3 race victories in what you're definitely doing the 140s, pit bike 140 class.
Yeah, just the 140. I'll be in Moto team as well.
Well, you've got your team in there, haven't you? You've got the Moto team class.
Yeah, pinky in the brain, or not the brain.
Yeah, if you've never watched or listened to Fab Racing anyway, there's Moto team class, the teams race, and basically we have no idea who's on the bike. And that's why
I wrote them all down for you.
Yeah, one's about 2 years ago.
At the start of this season, thank you.
But that does change as the weekend goes on, so it's basically just a free for all.
We had a third rider riding ours at LS.
There you go. So we just have team names in the Moto team class now, but still a fantastic place to check out all the young British or Irish talents making their way through. Especially a class to watch out for is the, I suppose, the headline class, Lewis, the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. And, what can we watch out for in that this weekend? Who's the big names and what might happen?
Yeah, this weekend we can pretty much expect what we've seen so far this season. That is absolute drama every single race. And we've seen, for example, at Ella Park, even at Red Lodge, especially actually when we had a multiple rider incident. But all the riders in with their very special. There's no even Sparks this year. And right now it's Luke Fitchett who leads the way in the championship by around 40 points over Marco Holt. And those two riders have been duking it out all the way throughout the season. And now pretty much everyone else is starting to catch up to them. Now we're having the likes of Blake Wilson, Archie O'Brien, who's in his second year in the Mini GP70 class. And yeah, it's really good to watch, to be honest. The class is ever growing. Same with the lower Mini GP50 class. There's over 20 of them now. And yeah, it's certainly showing that the future of British motorcycle racing is getting brighter and brighter every single year. Of course, in both the 50s and 70s as well, we have the Danny Webb GP camp, where Danny Webb attends most of the Fab Racing rounds and helps out the riders.
Marshall as well.
Yeah, exactly. He does quite a lot of work over the course of the weekend, to be fair to him, and he's certainly one of those people like Michael Abbey that's helped make British motorcycle racing future look brighter than it has done in God knows how many years.
Yeah, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work going on and a lot of plans and developments for future. And it's really, we're sort of like in the middle, Jay, aren't we, of a long-term project which was started by Cool Milk about 6 years ago originally to develop, and I think Dorna absolutely joined in on this. I suspect they were the ones who started it originally. Their plan to develop a Spanish-style ladder system with a path directly into the GP Paddock, British Talent Cup, and then the direct route into British Talent Cup seems to be from Fab Racing. Not exclusively, but about 90% of the riders are all Fab racers. At one point from there into British Talent Cup, and then from British Talent Cup you can go into Junior GP or European Talent Cup, and then straight on into Moto 3 if you're lucky. So yeah, we've got that direct access already. It's really starting to show results now, Jay.
Yeah, if you look all the way down from like the two guys that are in Moto 3 at the moment, they both came from Fab. They had that famous race at Mallory Park, Josh Watley and Scott Ogden, who are currently in Moto 3. Then you look a little further down, we've got obviously Casey. And then going down from there, we've got riders that I'm really looking forward to coming through who are currently doing well abroad. We've got Ethan Sparks and Mason Foster. And then going all the way back to the guys at Fab now, who I think have got great potential, like your Archie O'Briens,
Luke Fitchett
and Marco Holt, and all of the guys at Fab, all the way going down to the rookies and mini moto. So you can see that ladder all the way from Scott and Josh in Moto 3 going all the way down. There's a ladder of Fab riders, and that's forgetting all of the guys that are in the British Talent Cup as well at the moment. So yeah, you've got a massive ladder going all the way down, and I think it's going to get stronger and stronger, because I think some of the talent of Fab at the moment and the guys who have just left, like Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks, I think they're really, really good talents. And I think there's a lot of good riders to come in the next couple of years. Hopefully they all get the opportunities regarding like being able to afford to do it, and the money-wise, they're going to get the opportunities, because I think they're massive talents.
Yeah, not just as well the riders in GP or heading towards GP, BSB champions as well. Scott Redding, Brad Ray, Kyle Ride as well, just to name three, for example.
Danny Webb. Danny Kent was a Moto 3 world champion, and he came from Fab. So
exactly, just to name a few. And it's not even the riders as well. I mean, that's one big obvious part of it as well, but some of the commentary as well that emerges from Fab as well, world-class talent, of which you can hear on the commentary this weekend, because as I understand it, Kiko Giles will be popping up, I think, this weekend on the commentary for Junior GP. I believe it's him anyway. He told me the other day, but I forgot. So yeah, if you happen to catch the breakfast show Monday to Friday, 6 till 9 a.m. here on Motorsport Radio, we don't talk too much about his exploits. I kind of keep a lid on that kind of thing. Otherwise, his ego gets way out of control, basically. But catch him this weekend on, I think, Junior GP coverage. And also people like Tom Brooks as well, who you probably heard commentating on a lot of the BSB support class races as well. And also Tristan Finocchiaro. He'll be doing a couple of BSB support class routes when Tom Brooks is kind of busy. And you may have heard him if you tuned into some of the Endurance World Championship racing as well. Most recently, I think he was doing Le Mans or something like that. Spa, whatever. I obviously wasn't watching, so but he told me he had a good time anyway. So, and coincidentally, all former presenters on this show. So,
well done, Lester.
is it just a coincidence? I think it probably is, yeah. Don't get your ego running away too much, Lester. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. That is kind of all we've got left on the show. We'll all be at Landau this weekend, enjoying some
sunshine,
Southern Welsh hospitality.
You'll be in a caravan, basically.
It's not been determined.
Do you stay in a caravan at Landau? I swear I picked you up from a caravan from Landau.
No, you're thinking of Ella Park.
No.
Yeah, I think it was.
No, Lyd. I think it might have been Lyd I picked you up from a caravan. I picked you up from a caravan from somewhere.
Anyway, what happens in the Fab Caravans stays in the Fab Caravans. And all right, Lewis. There we go. Anyway, tune in this weekend. It's going to be live coverage of the next crop of MotoGP BSB champions and superstars, and Jay King will be there as well, racing.
The main event.
The main event that everyone flocks to see. We do actually get a lot of viewers and people just driving past and pulling up on the
Yeah, you do. It's on a roadside.
Yeah. So if you happen to be in Cowbridge, next to the tip, that's illustrious locations that we go to.
That's what I like to call Landau, the tip.
And we're no longer going there anymore. So anyway, no, but check it out. We're all live all weekend, and coverage starts I think from like 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon and about 11 o'clock ish on the Sunday morning. And young Lewis will be screaming and shouting all the way through the weekend.
Aye.
So rest your vocal cords till then. Jay, thank you for coming on the show once again.
It's been a great hat trick.
You can go and get your dinner now if you want. I'll finish your Copperberg, whatever it was.
Yeah, I might get another one before I go to bed.
Yeah, okay. Lewis, thank you for coming on the show and doing what you do. And
see you at the weekend.
Yeah, see you all at the weekend. Join us, live coverage, Fab Racing, the Road to MotoGP Ladder Series here on Motorsport Radio. Check it out.
This is Motorsport Radio.
1, 2, 3.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.